You have one hell of a setup there. You got a nice feature wall. You got the golden ticket, the
Yes,
title.
yes. I got two more titles, but they're not part of ISPW, so there's no point of me bringing them in.
The more the merrier.
I get them, and one of them is from Mexico that I won back in March, and I have the other one. So
Let's talk about that before we get into ISPW. So you're an
sure.
international champion, which is
Yes.
impressive. I
Thank you.
think I
Appreciate
saw you. I think I saw you cutting a promo from Rome, if I have that correct.
it. Yes, yes,
Right?
yes, yes. Yeah.
So you're like worldwide. Tell, tell me a little bit more about you. Who is the shining star?
Shining Star is in independent guy who just basically travels a lot for pleasure or leisure, I should say. And then in doing so, um, I do my best to reach out to the promotions wherever it is that I am traveling to see if I could get on the shows. And if not a show, maybe I could just train with the guys and everything. And just having fun with it, man. That's all.
All right. Ever since I heard your name, this has come to mind. Tell me if I'm right or wrong. But Ray Calitri, have you
Yeah.
ever seen Gone in 60 Seconds?
Actually, yes, that's where I got my name from.
Okay. So, all right. All right.
And can I tell you something? In my 4 year career, you are the second person to ever guess that correctly because they're like, but wait, you're Latino, right? So you're from Puerto Rico, but you have like this stage name or your wrestling name is Russian, and they're like, oh, how did you go about doing that or whatever? And it was because my first show ever, the guy wanted to use my real name, and I'm like, no, I don't want to use my real name.
Yeah.
So he's like, all right, you have one day to think about it. And I was just watching Gone in 60 Seconds, and everyone calls me Ray. And the villain of the movie, the guy's name is Rey Calitri. And I was like, oh, let me just use Rey Calitri. And ever since then, that's what everybody calls me. So,
Well, I like it. I love that movie.
yeah, good movie.
Anytime I get a chance to watch it, I think it still holds up.
Yeah,
Actually, just yesterday, I said, I don't know why this came up, but I was like, if they ever came up with like like how they do legacy sequels now, I was like, I'd watch a sequel. Have
yep,
Nicolas Cage be the Robert Duvall role where he's the mechanic and he's helping
sure,
somebody out. Like, why not do it? I think it works.
sure. Why not?
Any other inspirations in film or pop culture? And that one was a little bit more obvious to me, but anybody that
Yeah.
you sort of try to take after?
I mean, if most people don't see the transition within me, um, they're about to know, right? Because when I got hurt about 3 years ago with a broken ankle, I actually broke my ankle twice in 1 year, which completely sucked. Yeah. So when I first started wrestling, I was coming out as Mr. Puerto Rico, right? Mr. Come out with the flag and do the whole woo, whatever. So I got hurt, and I really took that year upon myself to like find my inner voice, I guess, or whatever it is that you want to call it, your inner character.
Mm,
That character that you have to tune up to 10, and that's who you're supposed to be. So I sat down, I'm like, yo, like, what is it that I like, right? And I'm like, okay, I like nice cars, I like traveling, I like money, I like looking nice. So I started portraying a lot of Ric Flair, Gino Hernandez, and Nick Bockwinkel. A lot of those guys, I studied a lot of their stuff over that course of the year. And then when I started coming out, I sort of just like added my little twist to it so that not everyone would be like, oh yeah, you're a complete copycat of Ric Flair, you're a complete copycat of Gino Hernandez. So I just try to add my little Latin little spice to it. So try to make it my own. But those are pretty much my influences right now going, into the career and everything that you see.
okay. You've been in the ring with guys like Tommy Dreamer. I want to
Yes.
talk about the match coming up, but is there and you just referenced like two huge names in Ric Flair, Gino Hernandez, but is there anybody that you've learned the most from? I'll use the phrase sitting under the learning tree, whether it was just by working with them in the ring or maybe you sought them out for advice. Is there anybody that really kind of helped you make that transition that maybe you were talking about, like coming back from injury or just trying to find who you are in the business?
So a guy that I always reference to, He's like a very good friend of mine, and he took me under his wing when I first started coming back into wrestling. And he's super old school. Gino Caruso from ECPW.
Okay.
Dude's been around forever, and I always go to him for advice, and I always ask him, hey, listen, because he's been around 30 plus years, and I'm like, what do you think I should do, or what do you think I should like say, or how do I reach out to different companies? So he pretty much gave me my footing as far as like learning from other like old school generation and stuff. And then any show that I'm a part of, I always grab whoever's part of that show and I just talk to them, even for a few minutes. Even when ISPW had the '80s WrestleCon, I
Mm.
grabbed Val Venus, and me and Val Venus were just talking, and he found out that I went to Mexico, and we started sharing stories about traveling in Mexico and wrestling in Mexico. And I just take like bits and pieces from every person that I cross their path, and I just try to listen to them. And I'm just like, okay, because the business is completely different from, of course, the '70s, the '80s, and the '90s compared to now. So I just like listen to everything, and then again, I just put my own little twist to it because I can't do, you can't wrestle the way you wrestled back in the days, which the kick and the punch and the grab the sleeper hold. You know what I mean? So I just take bits and pieces from everyone that I've met to this point. Heck, even Tommy Dreamer himself, I had a very good conversation with him. And they just, I see this in you, try this instead of that. And I'm like, okay, cool. So they told me that. I'm going to try that, but I'll add a little twist to it. So I really don't have a specific name that I latch onto,
Mm.
but I just take a lot from everyone.
It's kind of interesting how you brought up how the business has evolved, and I've had this conversation with I just talked to Carrie Morton about it, how
Oh,
we went through these eras where, look at it in terms of like the golden era and then the attitude era, and then now you sort of have the, I don't want to label it the AEW or the indie era, but there is a style of wrestling where it's like move, move, move. There's no room for it to breathe. But when it wasn't happening, that's what people wanted. And now that it's been going on for so long, it's, you want to see it go in reverse. And I think that calls to what you're talking about, where you're not doing it the same way. You're not just doing like kick, punch, but you are letting the moves breathe. You are giving time for the reaction. Like, I still think there's room for that. And I find myself wanting more variety, instead of when I was younger, I wanted one style of wrestling and that's kind of all I wanted. And now I see where, okay, I can see like an NWA where I want to watch that more often. And it also balances the other things that I'm still watching, where I don't need to have one or the other all the time.
so to me, again, this is just my opinion. A lot of people, whoever watch this, they might be like, "Ah, but you're so wrong." And we are in the era of social media wrestling. That's what it is, because everyone tries to do, rather it's a crazy high spot, or they try to do uh, someone to go trending and to go viral just so they could get signed, or whatever the case may be. So that's the era that I believe that we're in. And as far as the, like we were just talking about, where you kick and you punch and you let it breathe and you do a high spot and you let it, you let the fans or the crowd react to it. That's pretty much what I do now. I'm not, because I'm not a super high flyer, but also I'm not the super ground and pound old school '70s guy. Like I'm sort of in between that, a hybrid, I guess, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
I can do that stuff and I do it and I pick and choose when to do it. But when I do it, like you just said, I let it breathe.
Mhm.
Right. I was just on a show on Saturday in La Boom in Queens, New York, and we had this 6-man lucha tag, crazy match with guys from Mexico. And I'm in there with the guy, and I'm just telling everybody, "Oh, I go in, just I'm gonna slow everything down." Right. So when I slow things down, when I hit them, boom, I hit them, breathe for a second. Then I hit him again, boo, and then I go into a spot, and it was so freaking good. People were just so emotionally invested in that match. It was so good.
All right, so let's talk about ISPW 25 in particular. You're going to be stepping into the ring with another legendary name in the business, Crowbar. It's
Yep.
been Devin Storm. He's been in WCW. He's having a little bit of a career renaissance right now.
Mhm.
Talk to me about the match itself. what you're looking forward to, just working with him in general? Obviously, you want to walk away with your hand and your title, your hand raised and your title in your hands. There, got it right the second time. Just talk to me about facing Crowbar.
All right. So one thing that I've told myself is I can't do what everyone else does when they go face him. And from what I see, what everyone does when they go face Crowbar is they get starstruck immediately, which as they should, because like you just said, dude's been around everywhere. He's a living legend, hands down. 30 plus year career. He's done pretty much everything in and out of the wrestling business, right? But I in my head, I've taken that element out, and I'm like, I can't be a fanboy right now because it's business. It's it's me versus him, and he's trying to take something that I worked so hard for to obtain at ISPW's 25th anniversary show. Am I looking forward to the match? Absolutely, 100%. Am I going to be like fanboy? No. If anything, I'll do the fanboy stuff after. But like the minute that I step into the ring, into the building, into the venue, into everything, it's all business. It's all, put your headset on, put my music on, and it's just like, okay, here we go. And it's going to be one of those matches that it's pretty much going to put a lot more eyes on me now. Mm. And that I can't wait for.
You're not going to get starstruck, but maybe somebody is. He's stepping into the ring with a shining star. So
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All right. I usually close with this. I have a watch list feature trying to get match picks. Is there a match or moment that you've had in your career so far that really highlights who Rey Calitri is in the ring? Whether it was a promo you did or a match that you've been part of, anything come to mind that, you would sit somebody down and you'd say, here's who I try to be every time I step in in between the ropes?
Okay, so the first one that comes off the top of my head immediately is me against Negro Casas. For those who are watching who do not know who he is the equivalent of Hulk Hogan in American wrestling. This dude is a complete rock star. I didn't know I was facing him until I got to the venue, and they gave me the nod, like, "Hey, kid, you're in the main event," and I'm like, "What? Me? Like, oh, okay." So in the video clip that I have up on my social media, when they tag him in and they tag me in, and like I'm literally like, we're just talking about, we're letting it breathe, right? So I'm just walking in, and all you hear is the whole crowd of, I think it was like 350 people, 400 people in the building. They all start chanting his name, Negro, Negro. And dude, my chest went slow beating, and I'm like, oh man, here we go. That was a very, very cool moment. And I'll give you a second one real quick. Right. I made my debut in Tijuana 2 years ago. And again, I was facing another legend in Tornado Negro, which that dude is synonymous in Tijuana Lucha Libre history. He has taken off like 25 wrestlers' mask or something like that. And that's a big deal when it comes to Lucha Libre history. Like, you lose your mask, that's like your career.
Yeah.
So when we're in the match or whatever, and we're about to go to the finish, and the referee's like, tap, 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 I said, no, don't tap. And I have the crowd in my hand at this point, right? And so then I call an audible real quick, and we do whatever else, and then we finally get back to the finish. And then that place just erupts. And even though, of course, his hand got raised, I know at the end of the day that I walked away with the people's respect, because every time I go back to Tijuana, everyone talks about that match when they approach me. They're like, dude, I remember when you were doing this with Tornado Negro, and you came in here and you tore the house down in front of 6,000 people. So those are two really cool moments in my career that automatically stick out to me when you ask me, my time lapse.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
I'll have to check. I know you said you have a clip of it on social media. I'll have to see if I can find cool matches.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Anything else you want to plug before we get out of here? Besides the appearance we just talked about, anything you have coming up? Where can people find you? Stuff like that.
Always check my social media. I'm consistently traveling all the time. I'm coming up to Thailand in November. I'm trying to get out there, trying to do a show out there. Hopefully, if the promoter sees this, get back to me, But no, I'm always on the move, always go, but if you look at my social media, PAP1 Fresh, that is Bobby Fresh on Instagram. Facebook is Rey Calitri. YouTube is Rey Calitri. I'm always constantly updating my dates, my content, my videos, my pictures, and everything else in between. Even my interviews, even this one is going to go up on there. And I want to say real quick before all the list closes out, I still can't believe I'm being interviewed by you, by WrestleZone. It is absolutely insane to me to think that, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old and WrestleZone was just breaking out, and I used to like read the sections and the stories and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like they know all of this stuff, like they know all this information. And to see me, here on the other side of the computer screen, it's pretty cool. So I just want to say thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate the time. This has been very fun, and I'm glad we got a chance to do this. Thank you.